I woke up that morning to drenched clothes and wet bed sheets. I thought it was just sweat from a bad dream. But when my eyes finally cleared, I realized all I saw was red coming from holes. Holes that covered my legs. I loved to run. I was 7 years old and I loved the outdoors. I loved running. But everything changed one morning when I woke up and I noticed these red spots on my legs. At first, I didn't really pay attention. After all, I was a kid. These things happen, and it didn't hurt. But this was different. In a few days, the spots multiplied until my legs were completely covered in red dots from the knee down. I showed them to my mom. "Mom, look! My legs are full of red spots!" She would just tell me they would go away, like most spots do. But when I showed them again after a couple of days, she grew concerned. "We better go to the doctor," she said. Our GP took a look at my legs. "This looks like dust mite rash," she said. "Put on this cream and it'll go away." Oh, problem solved. I walked away happy. But the cream, it didn't help. Instead, my legs started to burn, and it felt like I was walking through a field of cactus every time I moved. After a few days of putting the cream, I began feeling tired and sick. My whole body ached. I couldn't eat. I couldn't keep anything down. And the spots? Well, they turned into red, raw blisters. One morning, I woke up and saw red fluid all over my bedsheets. Worried, I ran to the toilet, and when I got there, it was everywhere. In the toilet, on the bath mat, in the mirror. I was starting to get lightheaded. Was I losing too much fluid? "Enough is enough," my mom said. "Get in the car. We are going to the hospital." My dad drove my mom and I to the emergency room. By then, I felt so weak I could hardly walk. I slumped into a waiting chair, asking for help, asking for it all to be over. The doctors at the hospital had absolutely no idea what was wrong with me. They were afraid I had some kind of infection, so they put me into quarantine. This meant I was in a room, unable to leave, yet closed off from the rest of the world. So there I was, trapped, alone, aching, unable to walk because my legs were covered in red blisters. My whole body was covered in spots. I was sick and bleeding uncontrollably. I remember wondering if I was going to survive this, sobbing quietly. My mom came back after speaking to the nurses and held me carefully as tight as she could. "Mom, I'm worried." "Everything will be fine, honey," she said with a weak smile. But I could tell she didn't really know. Even then, her words calmed me. After a few weeks, the doctors still didn't know what was wrong with me. I went to a different hospital for a second opinion. As soon as I entered the hospital, a doctor almost looked happy to see me in this condition. He scanned me and exclaimed, "Yes! I know exactly what you have!" My eyes widened. Was he for real? I had been let down too many times at this point. I didn't want to give myself any more hope. But they ran some tests on me, and soon enough, they had the answer. I had Henoch-Schönlein purpura, HSP. According to the doctor, it was a type of vasculitis, an inflammation of capillary vessels. Inflame. Oh! My legs felt like they were on fire, I told him. "Yes, think of it this way. Your body is a house. When you encounter bacteria, viruses, or infections, the house is set on fire. Your body is red. It burns. It's swollen and in pain. But then the alarm rings and firemen, your immune system, come out and start extinguishing the fire, allowing your cells to rebuild your house. But sometimes the firemen get the wrong address. That's what causes vasculitis and HSP. The firemen arrived at the wrong house and, believing it was on fire, damaged your capillary vessels. HSP in particular can be triggered by anything that rings that alarm in your immune system. I was unfortunate because these vessels are, well, everywhere. And because of that, symptoms, pain, inflammation, swelling, can emerge all over the body, in many different organs. It's unlucky, but now that my illness had a name, they could finally provide the right treatment. One option was simply to wait. HSP is thought to be self-limiting, which means that if you can wait long enough, it is going to stop by itself. But the inflammation was damaging my body. I could barely function. So instead, they gave me Dapsone, which are basically steroids that suppress the immune system, telling the firefighters they can get a day off. But even heavier treatments can even include chemotherapy, which is expensive but often effective. For now, I was just happy we might have found the problem and the solution. So what I really want to do is raise awareness of vasculitis, and I hope both patients and doctors will recognize it faster, instead of taking weeks as it did with me. The most important for the right treatment is getting the right diagnosis. So to anyone who might be experiencing similar symptoms, I want to encourage you to seek out treatment sooner rather than later. I went back into remission in my teens and my 20s, scarring my legs with golf ball-sized holes. But I've come to live with knowing it's a part of me now, and I'll always be ready for it.
Hey guys, so we'd like to informally introduce you to our community health channel. Yay! So you guys may be wondering who we are and what we do. Well, let's start with our parent channel, Minute Videos, where we publish educational videos that provide our audiences with a voice. Our community shares their life experiences by submitting their stories onto our platform, Community O2, link right here, and we publish those videos. So now we bring you Community Health, which continues to portray these stories into videos while providing a medical insight on each of these stories. We plan to go into more detail to provide you educational value on each condition so that it's not only entertaining, but educational. So get excited, guys, and begin submitting. Do I look dumb? Do I look like a nerd?